Hey gang, Mark Sweeney here from Austin Dental Spa in beautiful, warm Austin, Texas. If you've been following along, you've seen past Wisdom Wednesdays. We've been doing this for about 7 years, just a little over, every Wednesday about this time. And if you've tuned in, you know that we try to bring you the latest in health news, both medical and dental, always aimed at giving you a high value for leading a healthy life. And this month has been no different. We've had Mindful May, and I'll introduce June's theme next week because this is the last one of May. I cannot believe the month of May just went by like that. But if you're a coffee drinker, you're going to get a kick out of the topic for today because it has to do with coffee. And before I get into that, we have another round of voting coming up for the Best of Austin. We are in 3 different categories. They added a dental category this year, so we'll be keeping you informed next week. The voting actually starts in about 2 weeks, so stay tuned. We are in the finals in all 3 categories, so final 5, and they'll narrow it down to 3 and announce those about a month after the voting stops on June 30th, and then they have a big gala where they announce the actual winners not until like August or September. So anyway, if you've been wondering why we haven't been talking about that, that's why. So summer is coming. Memorial Weekend is in the background now. And so we're going to talk about a study. In 7 years, we have never had a study from a university in Slovenia. But today breaks that cycle because we have a study from a university. It didn't even name the university. It would have so many consonants I wouldn't be able to pronounce it. But the journal is called Heliyon. I don't know if that's Helion or Helion or how it's pronounced, but it is a journal of science, medicine, and engineering, all 3 of those things. And so we thought this was a great article because if you've been convinced all your life, like I have, that caffeinated coffee is the caffeine is enough to boost your energy level and give you a little bit of a cognitive boost as well, the results of this study might change your mind because these researchers in Slovenia they did a double-blind study, which I love. That means there's placebo group and there's a study group, and the people participating in the study don't know which one they're in. They don't know if they're getting the real deal or if they're getting a placebo that supposedly shouldn't have any effect on them. So it's a fairly small study. There were only 20 participants, 10 male and 10 female. It did not say how old they were, just that they were all habitual coffee drinkers. So evenly spaced, 10 females, 10 males, and they made them wait 8 hours before they studied them, and then they did 3 different tests on them. They took their blood pressure, their heart rate and blood pressure. They made them complete a mental arithmetic and an auditory attention span test. So that was number 2. And then they did an EEG, an electroencephalogram, which is like an electrocardiogram, but of the brain waves. So they did those 3 things on these subjects, and they could not have consumed coffee of any kind for at least 8 hours before the study. So the hypothesis of these researchers was that, like you and I would think, that the caffeine would have an effect, that they'd see a significant effect in the people that got regular caffeinated coffee compared to the people who got the decaffeinated coffee or uncaffeinated coffee. And that's what they were expecting. So again, they measured blood pressure and heart rate, they measured cognitive ability, and they measured electroencephalogram on all 20 of the subjects. The subjects did not know whether they were getting caffeinated or uncaffeinated. Of course, that's the double-blind part of the study. They made sure that the coffees looked and tasted the same. In fact, what they did is they used a real high-grade uncaffeinated coffee, and then on the ones that got caffeine, they added caffeine to them, but there was no taste difference between the two. So the subjects did not know which they were getting. And then they checked those three categories again. And what they expected was that there would be a heart rate increase and an electroencephalogram change. What they found instead is that heart rate and blood pressure did not change significantly, not enough to be a statistically significant difference. That the heart rate actually decreased in most and the blood pressure increased, which one would expect in the caffeinated ones. But it also, the same two things happened, the heart rate decreased and the blood pressure increased in the non-caffeinated ones. We'll get to the conclusions in a second. Cognitive performance also was largely unchanged. The mental arithmetic test, there was no statistical significance between the caffeinated and the non-caffeinated drinkers. In the auditory response test, the caffeinated people had a slightly increased ability to make decisions, but not enough that the researchers could say that it was statistically significant. Say that 5 times real fast. It was just slightly improved. And the EEGs that were responsible for they thought that there would be an increase in that in the caffeine consumers. No statistically significant difference in between caffeinated and non-caffeinated. So, what are their conclusions? Well, these researchers concluded, now again, the study group was only 20 people. It didn't say what ages they were, and so there's a lot of spurs studies, tangential studies that could be done on this, but their conclusion was that habitual coffee drinkers may be responding not just to the caffeine, but to the ritual of drinking coffee. If you have coffee every morning, you may have convinced yourself, whether it's really the caffeine or not, you may have convinced yourself that that's what perks you up in the morning, which made me wonder. I could run a study on myself and say, I'm going to buy some decaffeinated coffee, but I can taste the difference between most decaffeinated and caffeinated. So, but they did feel like a placebo effect was in effect here, meaning that people that didn't get anything that they thought they were getting, it was all mental, that they were convinced that they had gotten the caffeine, and their performance changed slightly, as one would have expected, but not in the placebo group. So, interesting study for you coffee drinkers, for us coffee drinkers out there. I have about 2 ounces every morning and I never finish the whole thing, but it's just a good way to start the day with that. I've been doing it for 60 years. Might as well keep on going. And so, this doesn't have anything. A lot of times my health tip segues in with the research study that we quote, but this time it really has nothing to do with anything other than calming your brain waves down. There's a lot of stuff going on. Kids are out of school. People are talking about summer camps and summer vacations and plans. So when you hit that point where you just kind of feel overwhelmed, everybody uses the word meditate. It means different things to them. It doesn't mean you have to sit cross-legged in a quiet room and with your hands out going Om. That's the old meditation style. It can be something as simple as just sitting in a quiet room with no TV, no radio, and just being mindful of what's going on in your body and just trying to force yourself into a sense of calmness, or better yet, allow yourself to just feel the calmness around you and feel the world around you. That's about as simple of a meditation as it gets, but even simple ones like that a couple of times a day have been proven to lower your blood pressure, calm your mind, and make the world not seem like such a crazy place. So don't let it get to you, and I'll see you next week for another episode of June Wisdom Wednesday. See you then.